In today's world of sequels, reboots, and remakes, it's no surprise that your favorite franchises are on an assembly line into the mouth of Mount Doom, either shitting on them or giving an update for a modern audience. We've seen it time and time again with Star Trek, Terminator, Star Wars,
Ray Skywalker.
and how can we forget the one that started it all? Ghostbusters 2016. The newest arrival is Lord of the Rings with Amazon's The Rings of Power, starting strong as always, being made for the fans, who got subsequently alienated as the cast rolled out and we all realized the lore wasn't being respected, the story wasn't being honored, and they were using an existing IP to do whatever they wanted, labeling longtime fans every ist and phobe possible. The war for Tolkien's honor had begun, and after seeing the premiere, man oh man did Amazon lose. Now, I had low expectations for this one, but as with everything, I will judge based on its own merits. Let's jump right in, and spoiler warning for the first 2 episodes of Amazon's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. After the defeat of Morgoth, Sauron rises to power and is hunted down by Galadriel's brother, leading to his death. She decides to pursue his goal and does so for centuries to no results. In the wake of her return, the Elf King calls off the war and everyone can return home. But in the Southlands grows the darkness. Meanwhile, in the Wilderlands, a wizard arrives, taken care of by 2 Harfoots. The episode starts with Galadriel getting bullied, which has no impact on the story whatsoever and doesn't even show us a proper personality trait. We then enter the prologue sequence, telling us that the elves went to war with Morgoth in Middle-earth for centuries, leaving countless dead. I guess they make mountains out of the helmets of the dead? What is this even for? To commemorate? Probably just looked cool. With Morgoth defeated and Sauron on the rise, Galadriel's brother is killed, so she goes on a search for centuries with a small party in which she is known as
Commander Galadriel.
I do not know how she got the rank of commander because she does not give a single fuck about the lives of her soldiers, paying no attention to their concerns, even pushing them to the brink of death. It's our first real interaction with her. I mean, how do writers want me to care for this person if they cannot even show me that she cares about the lives she's supposed to be protecting? On the one hand, she is on a revenge quest, but on the other, she's been with these people for centuries and seen so many elves die and keeps saying that she cannot bear to see more perish. They make her say something and do the opposite. I mean, they get ambushed by a snow troll absolutely wiping the floor with them. Without even checking if anyone is hurt, she says this.
We leave soon enough. The order is given. We march at first light.
Oh, and behold the billion-dollar action choreography. Not to mention that they're all soldiers, but she can kill the troll without breaking a sweat.
I'ma go Galadriel!
Yeah, I love Galadriel.
And she just stood there watching them get beat up. Bad editing. The party refuses to follow her, thank God, so head to Lindon, capital of High Elves. During this time, we get our first look at the Harfoots in Rovanion. The costumes looked like something you'd see at a low-budget local stage play, and everyone felt like they were straight up doing an SNL sketch. Their mannerisms do improve throughout the show but remains very cartoonish. Back at Lindon, Galadriel and Elrond meet, and a ceremony is given by the king to her soldiers, rewarding them by giving them permission to go back home. Galadriel is reluctant, believing there is still evil, and their conversation at this point highlights another issue with her character. Galadriel tells Elrond she wants to be among the brave knights, who have their statues in the trees who sacrificed their lives in battle. Immediately, what comes to mind is that she wants a war for glory, because remember, the king just gave an entire ceremony and granted her an opportunity that most elves are never offered in their lifetimes. So, does she really want to avenge her brother or just kill Sauron to be remembered as a strong knight? I'll leave that up to you. She then says this to Elrond.
But you have not seen what I've seen.
I have seen my share.
You have not seen what I have seen.
Newsflash, Galadriel, neither have we. So we can't get behind your cause, we have no substance to back those claims. All we've seen you do is mourn the dead of war, but so have Elrond and every single other elf. Push your companions to the brink of death and show no concern, all the while single-handedly killing a snow troll with zero effort. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, Galadriel is insufferable. Well, let's go to the Southlands, the lands of men, where we meet Arondir, the updated elf for modern sensibilities. Now, here is when the dialogue really went off the rails for me and really didn't feel like Lord of the Rings at all. These beings are centuries old but talk like a millennial in their early 20s. At first the writers were trying, but gradually you hear the language go in and out depending on the scenes, shifting from modern to old dialogue. Arondir is seeing a human woman, Brownin, and since the war was declared over, he will be departing the region. Visiting her one last time, they discover that something evil is going on in the east, so heads there with her tagging along. Galadriel is on her way home, and a comet containing a giant man lands in Harfoot country. That was how the first episode went, and on the second one we get a full title sequence. It's rough, really rough. There's no way in hell this isn't a cheap excuse for an intro, but oh well. The more we go on, the more I think this shit was tax fraud or something. Galadriel jumps off the boat just before entering the light, and I shit you not, plans on swimming the entire way back. Meanwhile, Brownin is able to calmly walk beside Arondir after a whole day's journey on foot.
Okay.
They discover the town in ruins with traces of beast attacks, so he tells her to go back, and she does. Pause. Let me repeat that. After walking for an entire day, he tells her to go back at night, while the beast or beasts that murdered the village are unaccounted for. Guess what? She makes it back, running, meaning she traveled about 24 hours on foot and has felt no effects of fatigue whatsoever. This is a human woman. She's then able to kill an orc in her home and bring it to the townspeople to prove that there is danger. Oh, and her son Theo has Sauron's sword handle under the floorboards, I guess? Galadriel, on the other hand, finds a shipwrecked crew attacked by a sea monster. Makes you wonder how she's probably been swimming for hours and not seen one, huh? The sea monster attacks the already wrecked raft and she doesn't do shit to save them, not even grab one to swim away. One person managed to survive though, Halbrand. Now, this guy saves Galadriel, and after he says he fled his country cause of orcs in the Southlands, she orders him to take him there at that instant. This man just survived 2 monster attacks and saved your life, but you're forcing him to go back to where he fled with no regard for his own life?
I'ma go Galadriel.
Yeah, long Galadriel.
Back at the Wildlands, Harfoot Nori, after taking in the mystery wizard, wants to help him get to his destination. That's pretty much it on the Harfoot side. There really isn't anything remotely interesting. Now, this is probably my favorite part of the entire 2 episodes and the only moments in the show where people actually feel like characters, not hollow shells. Khazad-dûm and the dwarves. Elrond is tasked with helping Elvensmith Celebrimbor to build a powerful forge the size of a tower. Elrond decides to visit Prince Durin, an old friend. By his surprise, he's not welcomed, so invokes the right of Sigyn Tarag, basically a rock-smashing test of endurance. He gives up and due to the rules is banished, but asks Prince Durin to accompany him outside. For the first time, we get character and heart in the show.
I journeyed here to see my friend whom I've greatly missed.
Missed? You missed my wedding. The birth of my children, 2 of them. You cannot barge into my mountain and demand I welcome you with open arms.
Finally, it feels like people, and even better, real old friends catching up, and we get an insight on how fast time goes for an elf compared to other creatures, and I thought the scene would end there, but there is a natural progression given, an introduction to his family, and there's a minimum of character work that you feel invested in, genuinely wanting to spend time with everyone. If I do continue the show, which I won't to be quite frank, the dwarves are the most interesting of the bunch. That's pretty much it for the episode. Now, on a small side note, without even word switches from modern to old English, the dialogue is absolutely terrible throughout the entire 2 episodes. It's childlike often, like a first draft that was able to pass quality control. Now, on the character side, there's not much to say. It feels like each character is a bullet point of their personality traits. The 2016 Suicide Squad comes to mind and has that same effect here. Apart from one scene with Elrond and the dwarves, a little bit of Nori, everyone was a hollow shell. Galadriel was easily the worst character in the show because of all the reasons I mentioned previously, and I think the actress was hugely miscast. She may be a good actress, I'm not questioning her skills, but this role is not suited for her. Zero charm or charisma made her even more unlikable, and this is supposed to be the heroine of the show. Arondir was the same, another hollow shell. They tried to give him depth with Brownin, but the actor is just stoic and has the same expression in every scene, a huge miscast as well. Brownin, the superwoman herself, had a good actress able to deliver, but ultimately fell flat due to the material to work with. They could explore her more in the future and hopefully she doesn't fall out of the spotlight. Elrond was a pleasant surprise. His personality got better with the episodes, and as I said before, hit its peak in Khazad-dûm, actually feeling like a younger Elrond with a bit to learn. Robert Aramayo did a pretty solid job with the material given, even though he started out very stoic, also having the same expression in most scenes. Nori was a decent character, didn't really feel like a hollow shell, and had a very competent actress. Again, despite the material, she was able to make it work even though you may not be fully invested in the story. The other Harfoots though felt like they came off an SNL sketch, as I said before. Princess Drissa wasn't seen that much and was subject to controversy when the first Entertainment Weekly pictures dropped, but safe to say from what I've seen, her and Prince Durin were the best part of the show. The actress does fumble a bit with the accent on certain lines, but overall pretty enjoyable to watch. Prince Durin likewise, he was the exception to all, someone who felt real, that actually had real emotions, and the actor did a fantastic job, reeling you in from the start and expanding from there. The dwarves do look a little over the top, as if they're trying to recapture the Lord of the Rings look, but fast and cheap. So, it does work to the actor's detriment, but other than that, solid job. Hopefully their roles become more prominent and can bring life to the show. The score was pretty decent, but it felt more like they were trying to recreate the original Lord of the Rings soundtrack, as if they had taken most of those musical cues and remixed instead of doing something different. Apart from that, it was enjoyable to listen to in certain scenes. Howard Shore did return to compose the main title, which had nothing going for it and was not memorable in any way. Probably another marketing tool just to say they had him on their side. He clearly wasn't. On the cinematography side, there were sequences like the prologue that had some merit, but other than that, most of it was bland and shot flat. It doesn't try doing anything new or elevate itself by visuals like Edgar Wright's Cornetto trilogy to tell the story. There was no creativity is what I mean. It's not all bad, there are some decent landscape shots, but there was also some bad looking CGI, and for the price tag this show boasts, there's a lot to be desired. One of the main issues is the pacing, and most of it could be fixed in the editing room, although it would help going back to the writer's room too. Scenes drag, sequences could be cut, permitting the episodes to be faster paced and shorter, with each already clocking in just over an hour and not enough substance to fill that runtime. Did I personally enjoy the show? No, I was mostly bored out of my mind, and if it hadn't been for the scenes with Elrond and Prince Durin, also because I had to review it of course, I would have turned it off and not looked back. Now, I don't really know who this show is aimed to please apart from the Twitter crowd. Sure, you may enjoy it and glad if you did, but if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll probably rewatch Return of the King, and if you're someone curious, you'll be disinterested after a short while due to nothing satisfying in terms of story or characters in 2 hours of runtime. In the end, Amazon's The Rings of Power was an uninteresting mess, an absolute slog to get through with amateur storytelling seen with underdeveloped characters, major pacing issues, and an overall narrative that doesn't leave you wanting more due to a lack of investment. It will be remembered the same way Disney Star Wars is, non-canonical. Thanks for watching and once again for staying till the end. What did you think of the show? Did you watch it? Are you even planning to? Let me know in the comments. See you guys next time.